Hi, this is Asha Jadeja from the Motwani Jadeja Foundation based in Silicon Valley in California. And I'm here to introduce to you Edith Nordmann as, as one of our speakers at the launch of the Global India Dialogues that we are kicking off in Davos 2024. And the mission of the Global India Dialogues is to really start shaping a narrative of the presence of India on the global stage and what that means for all of us outside, as well as for those who are doing trade or partnership with India. In that context, Edith is with the Netherlands Chamber of Commerce and Trade, based out of Amsterdam, and she has just come back from G20. So when I found out about that, I was like, I need to know what her experience was and why she feels that that India's presence on the global stage is shifting fast, actually, and that it's having a profound impact on not just larger countries, but also some of the nations in Europe. And so over to you, Edith. Just tell us a little bit about yourself just for a minute, and then, tell me more about your G20 and other experiences. What did you do in India?
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here in Davos. I am indeed the chairman of the Netherlands-India Chamber of Commerce and Trade, as well as the managing partner and lawyer of ACG International in Amsterdam. And I also have a specialty, let's say, a special knowledge in employment law as well. And that's how I got into the task force, the B20 task force. And that's how I got to see more of India than just what I do usually. Which was really enlightening and thrilling and fascinating. What I saw there is that the inclusiveness, that's really the key word that Prime Minister Modi had in the G20, which resonated to me definitely, especially in an age where Apple makes us believe that it's only about I and not about us. So the I of India is the I of inclusiveness. And that's really the message to the world that India has been sending in a way in which it is not only inclusive, but also setting an example that together you can achieve more on family values, because the theme that was chosen for the G20, One Earth, One Family, One Future, was really bold. When I first heard it, I thought, wow, how can you have a presidency of the G20 and then come with such a traditional topic? But exactly that topic shows why India is really top of the bill now, not only presiding the G20, but really showing that they are on top of the game and showing the world how it should be, how the world should go further based on these values, on the family values and inclusiveness.
So true. I was just, speaking to someone and saying that I don't see the rise of India in terms of its economic might or its military might. I see it actually as its moral heft in the global conversations. And isn't that what we need in today's world, when we are living in a very troubled time, with 2 wars going on and huge gaps in equality of, the global north and south? This is the time when the morality or maybe even a spiritual strength of a nation is what's going to help with shaping the conversations of tomorrow. You mentioned this whole, the ethos of G20 as one world, one family, the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam that, Prime Minister Modi keeps talking about. In your view, do you feel that that ethos comes out in certain sectors but not in others? Like, for example, I know that in climate tech and in climate change and global warming, of course, this whole one world, one family has to be the way we are thinking about even global health, including vaccines and so on, because these pandemics are not, they are not relegated to one nation or a geography. They are very much, global phenomena. And so, do you feel India's role in that conversation being much more active than, let's say, shaping regulations for the new paradigms of AI and technology? What do you see? Do you see that India is more progressive in certain sectors than others?
Oh, absolutely, especially also in AI, IT, and startups, of course. But what I think is that in certain sectors we still have to act as ambassadors in the world and bring that message. As you said, in global things like virus fighting, public health, environment, of course, then people resonate to the topic very easily. In other topics, it's needed as well. I had the pleasure of having an audience at the Sadhguru's place yes, I was there, and they told me, when they brought me there in Bangalore, you have 5 minutes. He has 5 minutes for you. And I was already thrilled. I was talking to him for an hour and a half. And the next day he was leaving to, I think, Singapore. And everybody was sitting there and thought like, oh, they're running out of time. But we had such an amazing conversation about exactly that ambassadorship, about education, where we said that this is not only the decade of India, but especially seen that the median age is 28 years. It's going to be the next 20 years at least that India is going to be on top of the game and on top of the world. But after that, we need to make sure that in the meantime, education is also for everybody. This inclusiveness has to be there. But we cannot only do it in India, because he said when I was there, well, you're from the Netherlands, it's a wealthy country, there is nothing that I can give you. So I said, if you don't mind, I tend to think otherwise, because you bring family values, you bring a higher spiritual value that the Western world has lost. And this is the key to success and to stability in the world, to have business built on those values. And we definitely need to work on that. And only once we do that, with ambassadors throughout the world, like you are, and hopefully like I'm contributing a bit, this is the way forward, where we say, oh no, it's not just for the soft skills, but also for the hard ones. And we definitely need to be on top of the game on that, talk about it, and just show also by example how it really works.
So let me ask you one sort of concluding questions, Edith, which is on in this new corridor that is shaping up between India and Europe. Do you see sort of a uniform development of corridor between India and various countries of Europe, or do you see that there are stronger partnerships that India has with some nations, and it is still sort of growing its its presence in some other countries? And if so, what are the changes what are the differences that you are seeing? And do you think that's going to be, is it going to be, a bit of a challenge given Brexit and things like that? Is it going to be a bit of a challenge for India to be partnered both with UK and with EU? What do you see as the sort of the opportunities and challenges there?
First of all, there are some countries that already have strong connections with India. I'm very proud to say that Netherlands, where I've been living for the last 35 years, has a very strong tie with India and will always have it. Netherlands is the 4th biggest investor into India, and India is the 4th biggest investor into the Netherlands. Even though we are a very tiny country with 17 million people, which is even less than only the 25 million that are in Delhi. So that's a very strong connect. There are other strong connects, for example, like Germany and France, that have a strong connect with India. Even Switzerland is delivering air fighters and all these kind of things. So there are individual countries that are already involved with India. With respect to a pan-European development, of course, people are, well, the companies and everybody, governments are working on a free trade agreement. And that would be amazing. That would be such a huge step forward. And
Tell us more about that, about the free trade agreement. I'm actually surprised that it's moving so fast, because I thought there would be pushback from agriculture.
I thought so too.
Yeah, what do you
I
think?
thought it was not going to work, but the reason why things are advancing quite quickly now are because of the elections. The upcoming European elections, that's also why the AI Act has been embraced much quicker than we thought, because the European Parliament thinks if we don't do it now, who knows who's going to be in our seats after the elections, and then maybe we have a setback, and we don't want that. I think that's the reason why the free trade agreement is moving faster than we thought, because if we look back a few months, it was really slow, nothing happened, and people were talking, but nothing happened. So the free trade agreement would be a fast-forward highway in relation with...
Absolutely, but tell me something, are these free trade agreements somewhat mutually exclusive, in the sense that if a free trade agreement happens with EU, do you think that might slow down an FTA with the US? What do you think? Or they can happen in parallel, in your view?
Absolutely. India is large enough to profit from both, and especially the other way around, because I think it is even more important for Europe to have that free trade agreement. The only thing is that they don't understand that yet. We have to make them understand that they are much more at the receiving end than at the giving end. They still tend to think the opposite, because Eurostat has published that by 2050, the European Union region will lack 50 million workforce. Whereas India, of course, with the median age of 28 and a population of 1.4 billion people, has a lot to offer also on that part. Because the reason why the European Union is afraid of the free trade agreement is because they fear the competition and the influx of people. But we shouldn't fear it, we should embrace it, because we will benefit from it from both sides. So
when India works with Europe, right, on the FTA, is it working only with EU? Is there like one go-to place where or does it have to negotiate an FTA with different countries, one by one?
No, the EU is negotiating, but then of course all the countries have to agree. Okay. That's why it goes so slowly. Yeah.
Edith, thank you so much for this view from Europe in Davos and, at the launch of the Global India Dialogues. And we hope to see you more often in Bangalore, Delhi and other parts of India. I know that you are now, it's going to be difficult to stop you from being a part of, the Indian conversations. It was a pleasure meeting you. And we look forward to staying in touch. Thank you.
Likewise, thank you very much for having me and looking forward to our next encounter.